Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another effective episode here at English Podcast. I'm Anna, and I am joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Dan. Take a moment, listeners, to relax your shoulders, let your mind settle, because today we are diving into a topic that every single one of us struggles with.
Oh, you are not kidding, Anna. I think I've already struggled with it about 50 times this morning.
Only 50? Well, did you know that the average adult actually makes about 35,000 decisions every single day?
35,000? Wow, that's a relentless obstacle course for the brain, isn't it? From the second I check my phone to the moment I set my alarm at night. No wonder I feel so drained by noon.
Exactly. That feeling is actually called decision fatigue. It's biologically inevitable because our brains consume roughly 20% of our energy despite being only 2% of our body weight. Every single choice, even the small ones, draws from that finite cognitive pool.
Well, that explains my lunch situation. I have to tell you, and this is a bit embarrassing, I actually haven't had lunch yet today.
Dan, it's already 2 p.m.
I know, but I couldn't decide. I had 3 great options: a new Thai place, sushi, or that Italian restaurant with the amazing pasta. I spent 30 minutes looking at menus online, and then, I got too hungry to think clearly, so I just sat here and did nothing.
So your inability to decide led to no lunch at all?
Basically, yes. I was completely on the fence.
Well, for our listeners, when you're on the fence, it means you're unable to decide between 2 or more options. It's like you're sitting on top of the fence, not knowing which yard to jump into. It can be quite uncomfortable, especially if the fence is metaphorical and spiky.
It was definitely spiky today. It was a total toss-up between the sushi and the Thai food.
A toss-up. That's another great expression. It means 2 possibilities are equally likely or equally good. But Dan, you really should have made a snap decision.
A snap decision. That's a fast one, right? Like without careful thought?
Exactly. And for lunch, it's usually a no-brainer. A no-brainer is a decision that is so easy or obvious you don't even have to think about it.
You'd think so, but I've got this problem with perfectionism. I want the outcome to be perfect. I want 0 mistakes. I worry that if I don't choose perfectly, I'll fail, or at least I'll have a mediocre sandwich.
Well, you're not alone. Many people think decision-making is about magically knowing the right choice, but it's actually a skill you can learn. It's a combination of awareness, mindset, and small habits.
That makes me feel a bit better. So it's not just a gift that lucky people have?
Not at all. It's about understanding the difference between a perfect decision and a healthy decision. A perfect decision means everything goes exactly as imagined. A healthy decision means you choose with clarity and honesty, even when the future is uncertain.
I like that. Momentum over destiny, right?
Precisely. Every decision is just a step that creates momentum. But even with that mindset, we still fall into the paradox of choice. Have you ever stood in the milk aisle at the grocery store?
Oh, don't get me started. You've got whole milk, 1%, 2%, skim, then almond, soy, oat, cashew.
Exactly. Psychologist Barry Schwartz says that the more options we have, the less satisfied we feel. We get bogged down looking for the perfect choice, and we become obsessed with missed opportunities.
That is so true. I've spent 20 minutes just picking an ice cream flavor before.
I've been there. I remember being at this famous ice cream shop and I couldn't pick just one. I ended up with brownie batter and peanut butter cookies and cream. And even then, I was wondering if I should have gone with the salted caramel.
Laugh out loud. The struggle is real. But seriously, why does our brain do this? Why is it so hard to just pick?
Well, it often comes down to our dual process theory of thinking. Scientists say we have 2 systems in one brain. System 1 is fast, automatic, and intuitive. It's like your autopilot. Then there's system 2, which is slow, deliberate, and logical.
So system 1 is my gut feeling.
Yes, it relies on instinct and experience. It's great for easy decisions, like choosing which pen to use. You just take the one near you because it's closer. Easy decisions should be calm and simple. You can just say, I went with the blue shirt because it was clean.
But system 2 is the one that's effortful and uses up all that energy.
Exactly. It's the one we use when we need to weigh the pros and cons.
Which I clearly tried to do for 30 minutes for a pad thai. Failed.
Well, sometimes you just need to flip a coin.
To let the universe decide?
No, here's the trick. You flip the coin, and as soon as it lands, you listen to your first thought. Often you'll feel a flash of disappointment or a flash of relief. That reaction tells you what your heart actually wanted all along.
That's actually genius. It uses the coin to force your system 1 to speak up.
Exactly. And sometimes your gut knows the answer before your brain even catches up.
So, Anna, I actually just tried your coin flip trick while you were checking the levels on the microphone. I was debating whether to have a double espresso or a green tea after this. The coin landed on tea, and I felt this immediate sense of, well, disappointment.
See, that's your system 1 screaming at you that it wants the caffeine, even though your logical system 2 knows that the tea is probably better for your nerves right now.
It's so true. It's like there's this constant tug of war in my head. But sometimes I feel like even when I try to be logical, I still make, well, really weird choices. Like, why do we keep making the same mistakes?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. We have these things called cognitive biases. They're basically systematic patterns where we deviate from rationality or logic. Think of them as mental traps that our brain falls into because it's trying to use heuristics, which are just mental shortcuts to save energy.
Mental shortcuts. Okay, like a rule of thumb?
Exactly. One of the most famous ones is the anchoring bias. This is the tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information you hear. For example, if you're buying a house and the seller says $500,000, your brain anchors to that number, even if the house is actually worth way less. All your future offers are going to be influenced by that initial $500,000 anchor.
Oh, I've totally been a victim of that at the mall. You see a shirt that says, was $100, now $40. You think, wow, what a steal. But maybe the shirt was never worth $100 to begin with. The 100 was just the anchor to make the 40 look good.
Precisely. You're mulling it over now, aren't you? To mull something over means to think about it very carefully or deeply.
I definitely am. It makes me realize that making an informed decision is harder than it looks because our brains are basically biased storytelling machines. We even have this thing called confirmation bias, right?
Oh, that's a huge one. That's when we only look for information that confirms what we already believe, and we just kind of ignore anything that says we're wrong. Like if you believe a certain sports team is the best, you'll remember all their wins, but conveniently forget their embarrassing losses.
I feel attacked, Anna. That's my Sunday afternoon in a nutshell. But wait, there was this other weird thing I read about, something called the Knobe effect. Is that a bias too?
It's more of a psychological phenomenon. It's about how we attribute intentionality. Basically, researchers found that if an action has a negative side effect, people are much more likely to say the person did it on purpose.
Wait, so if I'm a CEO and I start a project to make money and it happens to hurt the environment as a side effect, people will say I intended to hurt the environment?
Exactly. But, and here's the kicker, If that same project happens to help the environment as a side effect, people will say you didn't do it on purpose. We blame people for the bad stuff, even if it was just a side effect, but we don't give them credit for the good stuff unless it was their main goal.
That is so cynical. But honestly, it kind of makes sense. It's like we judge people by their outcomes rather than their actual plans.
It really shows that our emotions and moral judgments are baked into our decision making process. We aren't just cold, calculating robots.
Which I guess is why we have so many idioms about this stuff, like splitting hairs. I was arguing with my brother about which route to take to the airport. One was 20 minutes and the other was 22 minutes. He said I was splitting hairs.
Well, he was right. Splitting hairs means making small, unnecessary distinctions or worrying about tiny details that don't really matter. In a decision like that, it's a no-brainer. Just pick one.
I know, I know. I should have just stuck to my guns and picked the first one.
Stick to your guns. That's a great one for our listeners. It means to refuse to change your mind or your principles, even when other people are trying to persuade you that you're wrong.
Yeah, though sometimes sticking to your guns just leads to analysis paralysis. Where you think so much that you just will freeze.
Exactly. And when you're in that state, you often end up taking a back seat and letting someone else decide for you.
Which is basically what I did with my lunch today. I let my hunger decide by making me too tired to choose, so I just had nothing. I outsourced the decision to my own exhaustion.
That is a very dramatic way to describe skipping a sandwich stand. But you're right. Sometimes indecision is the most exhausting choice of all.
Anna, speaking of outsourcing decisions to my own exhaustion, I have a confession to make. Last week, I was so overwhelmed by options for a new laptop that I just asked a chatbot to pick for me. I told it my budget and what I do, and I went with the first thing it suggested. I totally let the AI take a back seat. Wait, no, I took the back seat and let the AI drive.
Well, Dan, you are definitely not alone in that. AI is increasingly seen as the ultimate solution to our decision fatigue and biological cognitive limits. We make about 35,000 decisions a day, so the allure of an automated system that never tires and identifies correlations we can't see is, well, it's pretty hard to resist. But there is a huge hidden cost here that scientists call the automation paradox.
The automation paradox? That sounds like the title of a sci-fi movie. What does it actually mean?
It's not quite as dramatic as a movie, but it is serious. The more reliable and capable an automated system is, the less likely humans are to maintain the skills needed to operate without it. We essentially surrender our critical thinking faculties and become intellectually dependent on systems we don't fully understand.
Wow. So by letting the AI choose my laptop, I might be weakening my own decision-making muscles?
Exactly. Research shows that professionals who rely too much on AI support show declines in system-level thinking and the ability to find novel solutions to complex problems. In fact, there's this weird performance paradox where human AI teams often underperform the best individual agent, even though they do better than humans working alone. We get lazy and stop searching for the best answer as soon as the AI gives us a plausible one. That's called automation bias.
I definitely felt that. I was torn between doing my own research and just trusting the bot, but the bot was just so fast. I'm leaning towards doing my own research next time to stay sharp. But wait, if logic is so exhausting, how do experts like, say, firefighters or doctors make such fast, high-stakes decisions without a laptop or an AI helping them?
That is a great question. That's where we move into the world of naturalistic decision making, or NDM. A researcher named Gary Klein studied people in the field, Navy commanders, nurses, and airline pilots, And he found they don't actually sit there and weigh the pros and cons or build decision trees. Instead, they use something called the Recognition Primed Decision Model, or RPD.
Recognition primed. So they just recognize the situation?
Precisely. Because of their years of experience, they have a repertoire of patterns in their heads. When they see a crisis, they match the current situation to a pattern they've learned. If the match is clear, they carry out the most typical course of action immediately. It's a blend of System 1 intuition to find the option and System 2 mental simulation to imagine if it will work.
So they aren't looking for the perfect move, just the first one that works?
Yes, that is called satisficing. You look for the first workable option rather than trying to find the absolute best one. In a burning building, the best move is the one you make now, not the one you find after 30 minutes of deliberating.
I guess satisficing is the opposite of my lunch paralysis. I'm a maximizer, aren't I? I'm always hunting for the best possible sandwich.
You probably are. And Barry Schwartz found that satisficers are generally much happier and less likely to be depressed than maximizers. Maximizers suffer from regret amplification. They worry about all the missed opportunities and better options they might have overlooked.
That describes my entire life, Anna. I really need some tools to help me stop overanalyzing everything. Is there like a rule of thumb for this?
Well, one really popular tool is the 10-10-10 method. When you're torn between choices, ask yourself, how will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes, in 10 months, and in 10 years? If you won't even remember the decision in 10 years, it's a sign you shouldn't be wasting your mental energy on it now.
10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years. I like that. It gives you some perspective. So, for my laptop choice, in 10 years, it'll be a piece of junk anyway, so I shouldn't have stressed so much.
Exactly. Another thing leaders do to keep their brains sharp in the age of AI is to implement human-only decision zones. These are categories of decisions that must involve human deliberation, regardless of how smart the AI seems, especially choices involving moral intelligence or significant human impact. We have to make an informed decision to stay in the driver's seat.
So basically, use the AI for the no-brainers, but stick to your guns when it comes to the big, values-based stuff.
That's a perfect way to put it, Dan. Don't let your critical thinking muscles atrophy just because a chatbot is fast. We need to keep a human in the loop to ensure we don't just become passive consumers of our own lives.
So, Anna, we've been talking a lot about these human-only decision zones and not letting AI take the wheel. But what about the decisions where there just isn't a logical answer? Like when I'm toying with the idea of a career change. I mean, I could mull it over for years, but eventually I just have to, jump, right?
Exactly. That's where the naturalistic decision-making, or NDM, comes back in. See, for decades, researchers only cared about the optimal way to choose, basically how a computer would do it, using Bayesian statistics or complex decision trees. They looked for the best possible path. But in 1989, a psychologist named Gary Klein started looking at how people actually decide in the real world.
And I bet it wasn't with spreadsheets.
Not even close. He studied people who make high-stakes decisions under extreme pressure. Think Navy commanders, firefighters, and surgeons. He found they don't actually compare options. They don't sit there and weigh the pros and cons of 5 different ways to put out a fire.
Wait, they don't? That sounds, kind of terrifying.
It sounds that way, but it's actually brilliant. It's called the Recognition Primed Decision Model. Because they have so much experience, their brains have a repertoire of patterns. When they see a crisis, they recognize a pattern and the most typical course of action just pops into their head. They don't find the best option. They find the first workable one. This is a concept called satisficing.
Satisficing. Wait, is that a mix of satisfying and sufficing?
Precisely. It was coined by Herbert Simon. It means you stop looking once you find an option that is good enough, rather than hunting for the absolute best.
And here's the kicker, Dan. Research shows that satisficers are consistently happier and less likely to be depressed than maximizers, who obsess over every tiny detail to find the perfect choice. I am definitely a maximizer. I mean, just look at my phone. I have 40 tabs open comparing different types of hiking boots. I've been splitting hairs over the weight difference of 2 ounces for 3 weeks.
You're suffering from regret amplification. You're so worried about missed opportunities that you're paralyzed. In NDM, the environment matters. Intuition only works if you're in a high validity environment, one that provides stable, predictable cues and where you get rapid, reliable feedback.
Like sports?
Exactly. In professional sports or clinical nursing, the rules of the environment don't change every day, so your intuition becomes a powerful tool. But if you're trying to predict the stock market or long-term politics, that's a low-validity environment. Your gut is probably just, well, guess.
So for my hiking boots, I should probably just pick the low-hanging fruit, the ones that are on sale and fit well, and move on.
Yes. Pick the first workable option. Otherwise, you'll never actually go hiking. You have to create momentum, not look for destiny. Sometimes you just have to vote with your feet, meaning if you don't like a situation, you just leave and go somewhere else.
I like that. It feels more active. But Anna, what about when you make a snap decision and it's just bad? Like I once bought a car because it was red. Just red. That was it. I didn't seek advice. I didn't check the engine. I just thought shiny.
Well, that's the affect heuristic. You let your current emotions drive a fast decision. Or maybe the aesthetic usability effect, where we assume pretty things work better. To avoid those red car mistakes, you need a decision journal.
A journal? Like Dear Diary. Today I bought a lemon.
Sort of. You document the rationale at the moment of choice, what info you had, your emotional state, and what you expected to happen. Because our brains are storytelling machines, we often use hindsight bias to rewrite the past and make our choices seem more predictable than they were. A journal keeps you honest about your own logic, or lack thereof.
So I can see if I'm actually getting better at this, or if I'm just, lucky.
Exactly. It builds metacognitive awareness. It helps you see if you're falling into the bandwagon effect, doing things just because everyone else is doing, or if you're truly making an informed decision.
It's a lot to think about. I'm starting to feel that decision fatigue we talked about earlier.
Well, that's why we take it one step at a time. You don't have to master every tool today. Maybe just start with the 24-hour rule for big purchases. If you still want that red car tomorrow after the shiny wears off, then maybe it's a no-brainer.
24 hours. I can do that. I'll just put the hiking boots in my cart and walk away from the computer.
Good. Give your system too some decision-free time to breathe. Sometimes the best thing you can do for a big choice is, well, nothing at all for a little while.
Though I hope the sale doesn't end, then it'll be up in the air again.
Haha, if it's meant to be, it'll be up for grabs later. But seriously, the goal isn't to be a perfect logical machine. It's to be a cognitive integrator, someone who uses their gut when it's trained and their logic when the stakes are high.
You know, Anna, I've been sitting here thinking about everything we've talked about. The 35,000 decisions, the mental traps, the RPD model. And honestly, I think I'm starting to, well, reach a decision about those hiking boots.
Finally, was it a tough decision or did you just realize you were splitting hairs over the weight?
A bit of both, I guess. But I actually tried that future you test you mentioned earlier. I imagined myself a year from now standing on top of a mountain looking at the view. And the future me didn't care if the boots weighed 2 ounces less. He just wanted to be there. It really helped me step out of my feelings in the moment and think long term.
That is a fantastic application of that tool, Dan. And it leads us perfectly into our final point for today, hybrid intelligence. As we move deeper into 2025, the best decisions aren't made by humans alone or by AI alone, but by the integrated strength of both. AI provides the scale, the speed, and the predictive rigor, but humans provide the context, the nuance, and the strategic framing.
Right. So it's not about choosing between human or AI, but about how fast we can integrate both to unlock smarter decisions. But we have to be careful of dataism, that belief that all decisions should be driven only by data. Because, like you said, data without meaning is just noise.
Exactly. Data cannot frame itself. We still need that moral intelligence, aligning our choices with our core values and principles. Clarity in decision-making doesn't mean you know everything. It simply means you understand what truly matters to you. If you know what you care about, even the most make or break decisions become easier to manage.
I wish I had known that years ago. I've made so many hasty decisions just because I was emotional or stressed in the moment, and then I'd spend months feeling guilty about it.
Well, Dan, that's another part of the decision maker mindset, self-compassion. We have to normalize making mistakes because it's simply part of being human. A bad decision doesn't mean you are a bad person. It just means you are doing your best with the knowledge and emotions you had at that time. Think of it as updating your inner software. Every mistake gives you new data for the future.
I love that, updating the software. So even if I make a choice and later want to overturn it, it's still a lesson, right?
Absolutely. Regret usually comes from not trying, not from trying and learning. Courage doesn't mean having no fear. It means moving forward even when fear is whispering in your ear. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present, honest, and willing to take that one tiny step.
One tiny step. Okay. I think I'm ready to stop being a maximizer and start being a satisficer. I'm going to buy those boots, and if they aren't the perfect ones, they are definitely good enough for the trail.
That's the spirit. You're building that decision-making muscle, one choice at a time.
Well, Anna, I think we've reached the end of our journey for today. I've learned so much, not just about English vocabulary, but about how my own brain works.
Me too, Dan. And to our listeners, we want to hear from you. What was a difficult decision you made recently? Did you mull it over for weeks or did you make a snap decision? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one, and your story might help someone else who is on the fence right now.
Yes, please share. It's a great way to practice your English and reflect on your growth. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps us reach more learners around the world.
And remember, every small decision you make, like practicing your English for 10 minutes today, brings you closer to the life you want to create.
Stay thoughtful, stay brave, and keep growing.
Thank you so much for listening to English Podcast. We'll be back soon with another episode to help you unlock your fluency and your potential.
Until next time, goodbye.
Bye, everyone.